Dude, me too.
Merry Christmas, Chiefs fans. The Chiefs have won 29-10 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are the 1 seed in the AFC. They lock it up before week 18. They're 15-1. And guess what? At the right time, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in football with the best player in football. I'm Ken Swanson. I'm here with Tucker Franklin, Matty Lane. I don't even know if I want to break this game down as much as I want to run my mouth about the best football team in the world and the best player in the world, inarguably, blah, 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 all off season, all season. Where's 15-1 team? They can't do all this close game. 15 wins. Their season ends before week 18. They take care of business. Matthew Lane, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas, buddy. I'm glad you're so fired up. I'm just a little surprised. Like, where's this energy been all year? You bottled it up and saved it for this moment, and it's great. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's also really bold to already call Xavier Worthy the best player in all of football. But you know what? We're there. It might be what a game, right? What a past 2 weeks actually for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like the whole meme of oh my gosh, I hate this team. What's going on? Oh, we won kind of thing. I get where it comes from as Chiefs fans, but I don't know if that's how I necessarily see the games going because the Chiefs win the vast majority of their games. However, it has been a little bit of a slog this year. And then all of a sudden these past 2 weeks, right when the playoffs are around the corner, right when you dangle the carrot of, hey, do you guys want the majority of a month off? Why don't you guys go ahead and play better? And guess what they did, Tuck? They played better. They played a lot better. They put together back-to-back their 2 best performances of the year. I mean, this was a fun little Christmas, Tuck.
I don't know if you guys still got the broadcast on. I got it over my shoulder right here. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are wearing the swaggiest puffer jackets of all time.
Please hold. We got to figure out where we buy them.
I mean, I need one of these things. Holy cow.
I'm trying to get there. I might take my internet to do this, but.
That is awesome. No, but look, I'm glad that Kent started off this episode with the proper energy because that's where I think we need to start. Chiefs clinched the 1 seed, obviously, with this win and didn't really break a sweat in this game. It was a fairly easy going game. There were a couple of moments in the first half that were a little bit nerve-wracking. But other than that, easy sailing. Chiefs secure the 1 seed, never a doubt. Travis Kelce gets another record, gets a couple of records in the process of getting to the big one, but really never a doubt, Ken.
It never really
found the jackets.
It never really was a doubt. They comfortably took. They started the game out 13-0. They win the rest of the game 16-10. The defense only gives up 10 points on the day. The offense does some really, really good things, puts some good drives together, and looks good doing so. So much to be excited about. I think for this team and at the last 2 weeks, I think this season is really hard to navigate because this team has just been through this. They've been there, they've done that. They're a machine. They're a winning machine. They've won 15 games in 16 weeks. They've lost 1 game. They're 6-1 against playoff opponents, and they have just beat 2 teams back to back in 4 days to lock up the 1 seed before the season is even over. And I think the thing, this season's been tough to navigate and tough to try to figure out because, as much as this team has slogged through the regular season and still won 15 games, by the way, and only lost 1, you still it was a slog at times. It's been very difficult. It's been, not enjoyable to watch, even though they just continue to win football games. And that's a skill. I think we're learning that that's a skill. I think we can acknowledge that that's a skill. And everybody that's been running their mouths about this team and saying all this stuff about they're not that good and oh, Bills are better. Blah. They've lost one game. They just keep winning. They've achieved 15 wins. That is a massive, impressive mark in the regular season for a team. And they've just went out and taken care of business and locked up the 1 seed before the season even ends. And it's been so hard to try to navigate, what we've seen for the majority of the year, knowing that they're probably going to turn it on and play at their best in January, right? And I think these last 2 weeks are a precursor to that. That's exactly what this was, right? This was, hey, we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Here's the carrot. Let's go out. Let's go win these 2 football games. Let's kind of play some playoff football. And they did exactly that. And they went out and beat 2 playoff teams over the last 2 weeks. And this performance sans some special team stuff. Both sides of the football did some very good things in this game. Very exciting performance from a lot of different players to lock this thing up, Maddie.
I mean, the Chiefs didn't just go out and win this game. They kind of went belt to ass on the Steelers here. Like, I mean, it was a couple like shooting themselves in the foot that led to the Steelers hanging around in the second quarter. I think there was some, the second quarter wasn't great for the Chiefs. There was some execution stuff a little bit that happened here and there that led to the game being closer than it needed to. But first quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, I mean, they were just, mopping the floor with them. And I know the Steelers hadn't been as strong down the stretch here as they maybe were in the middle of the year, but this is still a team that is going to the playoffs, right? The Steelers are still making the playoffs. They're ahead in the AFC North, and at no point in time in this game did it feel like they were even, on the same level or close to the same level as what the Chiefs were. And this is a Chiefs team that's still figuring some stuff out. Like, there's still some miscommunications, both offensively and defensively, that they're still working their way through, that every team has, but like with all the moving pieces. So I don't even know if you've seen the best of what the Chiefs have to offer, which has kind of been the entire point that everybody has said all year, right? Get to the playoffs. The Chiefs will keep getting better. We'll see what happens. There's no reason to be worried or whatever it might be. That was a lot harder in week 12 when you're like squeaking out 1-score wins, or when you're losing to the Bills when you play them, that one good team for the first time. It's a little easier to keep that in mind when you go back-to-back games like this versus 2 playoff teams looking this good. Things are starting to fall into place on kind of both sides of the ball, but especially offensively, when you know that's how you're going to have to win games. It's a nice feeling. And like, it was just nice to see it kind of all start to come together back-to-back weeks, Tucker.
Well, you guys talked about it kind of on the lab on Monday, and we kind of talked about it on the postgame show too. Like, this team is playing, they seem to do this every year. They play their best football at the most opportune time, right? Like, they are getting hot when they need to get hot. Yeah, now they get to rest their starters for a week and then another week because they have the 1 seed, obviously, where everyone will get to rest. But I do think it's very funny. I was looking at the comment section here, as we appreciate everyone hanging out with us on Christmas. Nevertheless, we do appreciate you guys spending some time with us after the Chiefs do win. But I do love this comment here from Carrender, who says, minor quibble, should have seen Winston at the end, but enjoying this. I love that. That's the thing of like, well, we should have saw the backup quarterback sooner. Like, that's the thing that we're taking away from this game, because it was a really strong performance. There were, can't you mention the special teams things that you want to obviously clean up and everything like that. It wasn't probably a strong 3 phases game. It was a strong 2 phases game, though. I'll tell you that. The defense played really well against a Pittsburgh team that, has put up some points in the past. Like, they have been shown the ability to be able to score the football, and the offense went out there and put some points up on the board too. They do leave some points, plenty of points on the boards when it comes to the penalties and special teams again. But look, they are running once again. The AFC runs through Kansas City. It runs through Arrowhead, and that's what you want to be at. That's where you want to be at this point in the season. It's exciting.
And they still haven't scored 30 points this year.
That's crazy.
Over 30. Over 30.
Yeah, they scored 30 exactly.
Yeah.
3 times.
They haven't scored over 30 points this year.
Or 2 times, not this game. 2 times they scored 30.
So, and we can start, and we need to start with this anyway, because the best player in the world, Patrick Mahomes, was incredible today. But I think there was some extra motivation here, because Patrick Mahomes says, I told my wife I was going to let her or get her the 1 seed so we could have that baby.
Great point.
So the reason Patrick Mahomes went 29-38 for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns on a bum ankle against a playoff team is because he's trying to get that 1 seed so he has time to have that baby. What a just beautifully managing that work-life balance for Patrick Mahomes, getting the 1 seed and taking care of business. So they have a window here to have that 3rd child. That's why Patrick Mahomes is the best player on the planet right there, if you ask me.
I mean, listen, I don't wish anybody to have to go through the trouble of a baby not coming, but like if this is how Mahomes is going to play, waiting for the kid to come on out, why don't we go ahead and prolong that to the Super Bowl? Because if you get that Patrick Mahomes, they're not losing another game, right? Like they're not losing a game if he plays like that again. I don't really mean that. Please have the baby whatever is best for you, but. I just, this version of Patrick Mahomes was different, right? Like, and we saw it last week, it was coming together, and he's been playing better since they traded for DeAndre Hopkins. He's been playing better since then, but really, and everybody jokes about it, with the bum ankle, with the mobility being a little bit more limited, he almost does seem to play a little bit better. I don't know if it's more intention on setting his feet. I don't know if it's knowing that he can't scramble quite as much. Okay, I just saw him that clip after Justin Watson's touchdown that DeAndre Hopkins stood over a defender for a second and stared at him. That's pretty great. Yeah. I don't know what it is about the ankle, but with the one bad ankle, Mahomes is playing better than he has all year. These past 2 weeks, and especially this game, he is making throws. He is throwing with his chest at a level that we just haven't seen. And then even if you look at some of the vertical stuff or some of the balls actually downfield that hadn't been connecting or had been a little off target the majority of the year, they're right on the money. Yeah, there's still some communication issues. Yeah, stuff is maybe off by an inch or two, but he's not missing, not wildly, but missing by a lot that he had. So like this was the vintage, everything you want to see from Patrick Mahomes. You saw some Travis Kelce come alive in the second half. Like you saw everything, man. And 15 kind of showed up to this game. Sounds like there was extra motivation, but it also was a little bit of, hey, you guys can argue about who the MVP is for this regular season, but I just want you to know going into the playoffs, I'm still that guy. And
I'm here.
Do your best, Nate Burleson, doing his best, Patrick Mahomes.
I'm here. Look, man, he played out of his mind. He played a phenomenal game. And like, I think, yeah, some of it could be, hey, look, we see the carrot at the end. We're trying to make this push. It's time to go. Some of it could be the insertion of Hollywood Brown on the field, because I mean, I think everything's kind of just settled into place a lot better since Hollywood Brown has, seen the field, right? Like, I think that's made things a lot better. He has more options. He has more people that he trusts. Hollywood Brown had 7 targets today. His second week back, he had 7 targets in this game. Yeah, I think you've seen a better version of Xavier Worthy since Hollywood Brown has been back. I think things are rounding into form. I think things are starting to take shape. And like, this was a game that, you didn't even see much DeAndre Hopkins, 2 catches, 7 yards on 4 targets in this game for a DeAndre Hopkins. But I think things are just kind of starting to develop as the season goes. And I think, look, it cannot be overstated how valuable this time off will be for this team. And you got to see the flashes of a really high ceiling offense that could even get healthier and could maybe even have, potentially even a better offensive line. We'll see what happens in decisions that they make on the offensive line for the playoff stretch. But just a phenomenal performance from this Chiefs offense, from Patrick Mahomes. I think, hey, by the way, guess who led the Chiefs in receiving yards today?
Xavier Worthy.
No. Travis Kelce got it in the fourth quarter. Like they found him on a couple of those like open spots where he did. I mean, Travis Kelce had probably his best game in a while. Like a lot of that was, the Steelers lost him in the open field a little bit. So he was able to pick up some yak that he normally hadn't. But like, overall, he played a very good game. But he just got lost a little bit in the second half of that game down the stretch. And yeah, he took it from Worthy. As this funny, Worthy, I think, had 79 yards. 72 of it was considered yards after the catch. Which, really? Like, that's just kind of funny because they have the Chiefs have been struggling with that all year. They haven't been a great like yak team, especially over expectation. But then, this is kind of the game where you want to figure out like, okay, how do you get the ball in your playmakers' hands and let them go to work? Here was a pretty good example of like what they're going to do with a guy like Worthy, who we have seen run more and more real routes throughout these past couple weeks. But then this one, hey, get the ball in his hands, let him go make plays. And he was doing it. And he was the pace car, keeping the offense ahead of everybody else, along with Mahomes, keeping the offense out ahead until Travis Kelce kind of took over there down the stretch.
Worthy was kind of the run game for this team a little bit too, right?
It was terrible.
Well, the run game was really bad, and so like, what do? They just kind of just start peppering and they give Xavier Worthy, they give him 11 touches, 9 targets and 2 carries in this game, and a lot of easy completions. Just get the ball in his hands and like let him work, kind of stuff, right? Just to try to keep that offense going, but. You see Justin Watson stepping up in this game.
Big game for my guy. Oh yeah, big Justin Watson game. Love to see him step up.
We had a Justin Watson drive in this, in this game. Like, we did, man. It is great. Like, there's just the vibes. The vibes are very high for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Just a lot of good in this game. Yeah, there was a stretch that that it looked rough and like, hey, what did they do? Okay, so, struggled in the second quarter. They basically just peppered the quick game down the field, ran some. They had the RPO game, they had the quick passing game, they had the edge
love the
screen
RPOs
game.
coming back.
Yeah. Oh, well, and here's the thing. Like I'm not sure that's not something that just hasn't been unlocked in two ways. One, just because I think they want to bring it back for the playoffs maybe a little bit more. But two, there is so much trust in the players that Patrick Mahomes is throwing to for these. Like he got a glance RPO to Juju. He had a glance RPO to Hollywood Brown in this game.
Yeah, it was a big one.
They've thrown some to Hopkins in the past. Like the guys you're looking at though, right? It's the guys that you're going to have trust with. Juju, because he's been there before and run those. Hollywood Brown, because that's probably what they worked on a lot of during, camp leading up to his injury. You kind of saw them disappear when Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown were down. Like they don't want to throw those to Xavier Worthy. And I know they hit the slant, and I don't even think that was an RPO last week where he had the big gain, but like it was off coverage. It was just a lot of space, but like, they don't want to throw those to the Worthies, to Justin Watson. And you find the guys that you do want to throw it to. It coming back though, I think is big because the run game has been struggling as of late. And a lot of that's teams playing the run a little bit more. Part of that I do think is Tooney and Caliendo being your left tackle, left guard. I do think that limits the run game a little bit. And I think that's starting to show, but getting back into the RPO game to slow down linebackers, to slow down a backside safety or whatever it may be. I do think that's going to be big and something they do want on the film going into the playoffs.
Can't you're muted, so that means I get to tell this stat because it's related to offense as well. Matt McMillan tweeted this out 8 minutes ago. Against Cleveland, Houston, and Pittsburgh, that's the 3 games in 11-day stretch. The Chiefs allowed 1 sack and committed 0 turnovers on offense. That is huge for a team that had a very bad pressure and sack problem. And they found a solution in this stretch that was, look, when this schedule released, what was it, May 14th, I think is what it was when this schedule was released, we saw this stretch and said, that's going to suck. Like, that's going to be tough. That's going to be hard. And I think honestly, when we were doing the game previews over the summer, we're like, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if they, dropped the Cleveland game or they dropped this game on Christmas just because of the stretch and like how tough it is on their bodies. And that wasn't even considering the offensive line troubles that they did have coming into this stretch of these games. And they were able to, I think DJ Humphries, did he play a little bit against Cleveland? Is that the game he played against, or maybe he didn't play in that game?
It was the game before.
Okay, so DJ Humphries doesn't even play in the stretch. You're playing left guard at left tackle, and you come in there, and your offensive line's the best it's looked all season. Incredible for them, truthfully. I do think that is an impressive stat to mention. Also, Patrick Brennan points this out. Starting tomorrow, the Chiefs will have gone a full calendar year without a loss.
Huh?
Starting home
tomorrow? No, I guess that's true. They did lose to the Bills.
Doesn't feel like
it.
That does not feel like they'd won.
That offensive line you spoke of gave up 0 sacks, by the way. I just wanted to say that. They gave up 0 sacks.
And did Patrick Mahomes get hit today? Maybe once?
Yes. There was the penalty for sure.
Okay, but like barely gets hit today, which is a great sign. Like that was a tremendous performance, and that's what happens when you give Patrick Mahomes time. Is this team just whoops?
2 Steelers were credited with QB hits. Nick Herbig, and Cam Hayward. That's it.
That's
the officiating this game was also incredibly soft on all fronts. When it started with the celebration. Kelsey's celebration is a penalty, just letter of the law, because he touched the goalpost.
They all were by letter of the law, to be fair. Like, I think they're soft and like sad, but they all are.
I didn't see apparently Xavier Worthy might have flashed a gun.
Well, yes, he did
100%.
He did this right here.
That would probably be why he got the penalty.
Semantics.
Right.
You could tell this team was feeling themselves a little bit this week, though, just because of how many personal foul penalties they got.
Morgan's on.
We have a lot more to talk about. We can talk about more about the defense here in a little bit, but we're gonna take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
So win 29-10. They are the AFC's 1 seed. The AFC again runs through Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs will be 2 games away yet again from a Super Bowl, and those 2 games will be in Arrowhead if they are going to make it to the Super Bowl. What a time to be alive again, and the Chiefs do it in only 16 games, going 15-1. That is so impressive. There are not very many teams that win 15 football games in the regular season, even when you've got a 17-game schedule. That cannot be taken for granted. All this people running their mouth about all these close wins. This team knows how to win. They're a winning machine. They're peaking at the right time. They played their best football the last couple weeks, and I cannot wait to see what this team does healthier in January. I am beyond elated. I'm also elated to hear this from Mike Tomlin, who I do love and respect, and I can't wait to watch HBO. But Mike Tomlin, that sucked, to be blunt. You're right. You're right, Mike. It did. It did
not
suck.
for me.
Not for me, but for you, it definitely did. So that's okay. Thank you very much. George Pickens also just randomly jumped into the post-game interview to hug Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. What he said?
No, I didn't hear it.
Come get me.
No way. No, he didn't.
I was listening to it. I was playing the highlights and I was listening to it. I was on mute and I listened to it.
Yeah.
And he said, come get me.
I saw what you did for Juju. Please come save me. Please do it again. Listen, okay, we're going to talk about George Pickens and the Chiefs defense in 1 second. I got to say, before we move off the offense, we got to mention it. We had a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce that was a double record break, right? Travis Kelce gets the most receiving touchdowns in Chiefs history, passes Tony Gonzalez, who is paying for the fine of him dunking over the crossbar. And then Patrick Mahomes also broke a record. The first 8 seasons of an NFL career, he now has the most passing touchdowns, passing Peyton Manning by 1 in this game. And that's very notable because Patrick Mahomes played exactly 1 game his rookie season. So he really only has 7 years worth of games played, but he still has that record. I actually thought that Josh Allen was on pace to pass him next year when he gets there. I don't know. It'd be like a lot of touchdowns because Josh Allen has so many rushing. I don't know if he's going to catch it. So that record might be not locked in, but that record might hold. That's pretty impressive for the same play. Like to get both those at the same time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. And I mean, I saw look, if Kelce doesn't get a touchdown this game and the Chiefs win, I don't know. I'm glad he took care of business. And he leads the team. He leads the team in receiving yards in the last kind of tune-up before the playoffs, and he leads the team in targets again. By the way, 11 catches, he made one guy miss. Kind
of. Yeah,
I think things are rolling here a little bit for the kids.
Andy Reid dressed up as Santa Claus in the locker room. That's all I know right now.
That I didn't want to be rude and interrupt, but
of course he did.
I do.
This
shows a lot of interruptions.
I did also see that somebody got this for Christmas. It is a yellow signed Kadarius Toney jersey, so shout out to them. But yeah, that's tough.
Who got that?
is one of those burner Twitter accounts, one of those Chiefs burner Twitter accounts.
That's gotta be a white elephant gift.
But yeah, I mean it's hilarious if it was. Here it is for the visual people.
Let's go.
Andy dressed as Santa Claus in the locker room. It's not the first time he's done this though either. He did this a few years ago.
I saw Vahe Gregorian tweet out that he did it back in 2017. He quote tweeted it and said, maybe Andy will bring this back if the Chiefs win, and he did.
Purse him
the presser.
Yes, Purse him still in the Santa pants.
He's at the podium in the Santa pants.
I love that so much.
I also love this picture. Brooke Pryor tweeted this out. Mike Tomlin said that sucked. Can't you mention that? But this picture. Again, this is for the visual. Is like there's a nativity scene right by Mike Tomlin in this picture. Shout out Brooke.
I was gonna try to find a joke, see if anybody on the Steelers had negative yards, so I could say the nativity scene had more receiving or rushing yards than somebody. That didn't happen. It's okay.
How's it going?
We tried.
Feels like George Pickens had negative yards.
Well, I mean, George Pickens, he had a couple really nice plays, but for the most, he did George Pickens things on one possession. I think that was the possession they wound up scoring. But other than that,
no, they did not. They threw an interception because he did George Pickens things.
Because he didn't run his route.
Yeah. That's right. You did tweet that out. I forgot about that. Yeah. George, he just quits on the play and doesn't occupy the safety. And then Justin Reed's like, okay, well, if you're not going to try, I'm just going to come over here and play this bender.
Yep.
Like, it was so funny, too, because it was like the catch he made where Trent McDuffie's all over him and he doesn't reach out until late. It's like such a perfect catch and such a perfect George Pickens is always open even when he's not play. And then just a couple plays later where it looks like the Steelers are going to go down, score, make this a competitive game. He gets pressed by McDuffie at the line and he just kind of walks out his route and Justin Reed just drifts on away from him and it makes the easiest interception of his life. And like Pickens was upset with himself afterwards, but like it was the full Pickens experience. And so, that was good, beneficial for the Chiefs, obviously, but it was just a good thing overall. And it's like, wow, you really see in one play why Tomlin has some issues with him, why, maybe some teams didn't want to draft him quite as early as fans would have liked to. So it was the pure full Pickens display right there.
I've said this before. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers, are they actually good at drafting receivers, or are they just willing to take the biggest risks on receivers every single year? Because like all of the receivers that like have like basically like most of the Steelers receivers have fizzled out after leaving Mike Tomlin, right? Like Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Antonio Brown, like all these guys kind of fizzle out after they leave Mike Tomlin. I don't know if it's talent evaluation as much as just like risk management. But George Pickens goes full George Pickens yet again, which was kind of funny. Justin Watson had more receiving yards and touchdowns than George Pickens in this game. By the way, I think I'm Maddie. We can call him the Chief-fence, right? Can we call him the Chief-fence today?
Yeah, I'll accept it.
Look, I said on the shows this week, I don't remember which show. They're all running together. That this could be a galvanizing moment. The same way that Patrick Mahomes' injury is kind of a galvanizing moment that kind of locked the rest of the team in last week against the Texans. I thought, this could be a galvanizing moment for the defensive line with Chris Jones out. And the Chief-fence generates 5 sacks in this game. They sack Russell Wilson 5 times. They put a lot of pressure on him. I think it was, and I do want to give some credit to the back end of that defense too, because I think some of that was coverage and making, Russell Wilson hold the ball just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I thought the defensive line stepped up in a game that this team badly needed them to. 5 sacks on the day, 2 for Mike Dana, 1 for Felix Enrique Uzama, Felix Navidad, by the way. Tershawn Wharton gets 1. George Karlaftis gets 1. 5 sacks for the Kansas City Chiefs. And credit to both the pass rush, but also I think the entirety of the defense on that.
And man, I don't want to say hard. The reason I don't want to say like I'm really down on the defense. It was just kind of hard because you go look through the stats right now, right? The Steelers were 50% on third down. So like they were converting some third and longs. Now, some of that comes once the game's out of reach, but like it felt like they were hovering around 50% for a lot of the game. They were running the ball better than really any team had on the Chiefs for the majority of the game. They hit a couple downfield, passes, or at least the one to Pickens. Like it didn't feel like the Chiefs defense was absolutely dominating this game for large stretches, but it must have just been the negative plays, right? It must have been the sacks. It must have been the pressure that was coming. Obviously the interception taking, at least 3 points off the board helps. Trent McDuffie forces the fumble, but like the Steelers, generally speaking, like the offense statistically didn't do a terrible job, but the Chiefs defense held them to 10 points. It wasn't even really as close as that looked like for the majority of it, right? Like the Chiefs defense made it difficult on them. So it was a good performance. And specifically the pass rush, I thought they looked really good. If you could drop Chris Jones into that style of defense, like that style of pass rush, they would be phenomenal. If you could just drop him in there. The problem is when Chris Jones is out there, they just don't play the same way. It's kind of like they run like ISO ball and they try to clear out, let him go win, and then they try to, muck it up and come in for like a recovery sack or something like that once he flushes somebody away. If they would just drop him in to that rush plan where it's everybody trying to win or just pushing the pocket, taking away the space from the quarterback, I think they might go a lot better. The 4-man rush might, but for whatever reason, it looked really good in this game. Part of that's probably the Steelers offensive line not being great. Part of it was George Karlaftis. I thought was an absolute menace from the start of this game. Like he was continuing a great run. You got Felix with his best pass rush of his NFL career. Like it was just a pure, like I don't want to say the first, but one of his first sacks where he actually like beats a tackle's block and isn't a free rusher or it isn't late in the down. And it looked really good with the snatch, the rip, the way he was able to pull through. Turk Wharton had some good plays. Like that defensive line was getting after it when they were rushing forward. And that's a good thing because the blitz wasn't getting home.
I think that every one of George Karloff's sacks looked the same. The first one he had, the first one he had on Russ when his knee was like clearly down and he threw it and they're like, oh no, that's incomplete. And she's like, no, he's clearly down. That looked like the one. What was that game? He had 2 sacks. It wasn't Houston, so it would have been probably Cleveland, right? Yeah, because he got a couple sacks against Jameis. It looked exactly the same, and so I do love that. But I think what's encouraging for me out of this game is Chris Jones not playing, right? But the Chiefs still having success on the defensive line, rushing the passer without Chris Jones out there. I think that's a very positive sign, especially going into that. Felix, as you mentioned, Felix Navidad, getting a sack on what is always a very encouraging thing. One quick on that sack too. I thought it was a really good.
Yeah, no, it was a great rush. He had
Great
pretty good one late with 2 minutes left that didn't matter. And almost came down with a second sack against Russell Wilson at the end of the game.
I saw Swayze Boseman playing. That was awesome. That was cool. He's playing real linebacker.
Yeah. I mean, like you might as well. Like Deion Bush was on the field. Keith Taylor was outside of the red zone.
After the 2-minute warning. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, Keith Taylor always played. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry.
Keith Taylor's red
zone
special.
I don't know why. Are they just afraid to let him run? Like, is that what it is? Are they just afraid to let him run?
That's what it is. I really do.
They're like, you're our second best cornerback, but we don't trust you to run.
A couple important updates here. The footballs that they presented Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes when they were winning those sick jackets appear to be cake. Maybe, and that is brought to you by Is It Cake on Netflix.
Let's go.
I don't really know. I don't know if that's true or not. I made that part up.
I wouldn't be surprised though. They did very good cross promotion on this.
They really did. I mean, they just had Squid Games there in the middle of it. Like, if it wasn't, then they missed a big opportunity there. I'm just gonna say that.
Netflix killed it. The cameras were perfect. I mean, the cameras were great. And I guess I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to this stuff. Apparently, this is the CBS production crew. And maybe it's because it's streaming and they are allowed to use like the 4K, all the stuff or whatever. The replay camera quality was insane. It was a lot better than anything you get on CBS or Fox throughout it. They did a good job getting to replays, I think, at good time, something CBS really struggles to do. Like, I thought everything about the presentation, other than the fact that the score bug was more like a score elephant, was fantastic about this. It's just too big.
Score elephant.
It was just too big. Everything else was great. I even like the booth. If you had that same booth doing any non-TJ Watt game, I think they would have been excellent. It was a little bit much. The Watt stuff was a little much.
When JJ was saying that when TJ pulled down Jawan Taylor's hand and fell down, they got a holding call. Is that what you're talking about? By the way, Mahomes and Kelce come busting through the locker room in the jackets.
Oh yeah.
And then immediately following, here comes Santa Reed. Andy Claus. I don't know what to call it, but he comes busting in right after Mahomes and Kelce jump in, and it is a sight. The vibes are incredible. They're tremendous. This is just so much fun, and kind of just a sigh of relief. Not just like, hey, look, this team's 15-1, but they've won 2 games very, cleanly, and they're the 1 seed. Like, they've done everything that they need to do in the regular season. They've done it in dominant fashion, and the haters are fuming. Oh, by the way, the
rushing yards from running backs. They did
that's probably the big. I was gonna bring this up earlier. Joe Thuney, I think, had a hard time with the wide edge, with the wide edge players in the run game a little bit. Just be like trying to
some of the pass game stuff.
Yeah, but I think some of those run plays were getting beat up, were getting blown up because the Raiders or the Steelers were rushing from a wide alignment, which they do. And that was giving Thuney some trouble trying to kick that guy and wash that guy far enough the arc to run. And like one of the plays they gave TJ Watt credit for slipping through the tight end was actually because Thuney gave up, allowed Alex Highsmith to kind of collapse on it, right? So that was one of the things, like we talked about it, like, hey, look, Joe Thuney's done a great job. You've seen the floor, and hey, look, this team played well on offense. They did some really good things on offense, and this is nitpicking. But this would be one of those examples of things that I think you might want to see, if you can get DJ Humphries ready to roll in this game. But
however, if the payoff for that though is like, I agree that Thuney kind of struggled with some of the wider stuff, even in pass protection. There was a couple times where they tried to drop back and throw the ball downfield, and it quickly became him having to recover instead of cutting off the rusher, right? Like you look at a tackle, they kind of get a little bit back, a little bit farther, a little bit more straight back. And like he gets himself into recovery mode a little bit more because he's still a guard playing tackle. But if the count, like for the run game in particular, if the payoff is, well, the Steelers played a lot of single high, they were getting extra guys in the box, and their defensive ends were attacking downhill because they didn't think that Mahomes could move and like weren't afraid of a boot out of it. If that's what you're going to do, but you're going to give up 320 yards through the air and all these quick passes because you don't have anyone ready and stuff like that, I don't know. It almost feels like the payoff's worth it there because I still just think the floor that we have seen with Thuney at left tackle is really enticing right now. Like we have now seen a 3-game sample size where there is a safe floor. You know what you are going to get when he's out there. You know how to coach or play call around it. And like, it just gets a little worrisome, I think, if you go back to DJ Humphries and you get even Jawan Taylor level play off of both sides where it's a little bit more inconsistent. It's a little bit harder to plan for. So like Chiefs might just run with what they have. Like, yeah, there's some warts to it, but I think it's easy to plan around when you know what's there. Whereas if you have 2 inconsistent or less predictable tackles, then that gets a little bit harder.
Yeah. We're getting some quotes from the press conferences. Patrick Mahomes on the 1 seed. It shows the toughness of this team. I think we got better as the games went on. Getting that 1 seed is important. It's like winning a playoff game. That is exactly true. Patrick Mahomes says he'll prepare either way, but it's completely up to coach whether he'll start in week 18 against the Broncos.
I have a week 18 note, by the way.
Let's hear it.
So with the Chiefs win there's some like seeding implications that have happened. The Bills can lock into the 2 seed with the win over the Jets. This Sunday, the Ravens win the AFC North with wins in the next 2 weeks. In KC, the Kansas City Chiefs could keep the Cincinnati Bengals out of the playoffs by sitting guys versus Denver next week.
Well, that means that, the Chiefs would have to actually lose to the Broncos still. And there's no saying that either. Just because Carson Wentz and Carson Steele
make the playoffs.
I don't care either. I think it'd be funny if they do, though.
But Maddie,
if they don't,
Jamar Chase said they're the best team in the AFC.
That lost to the Chiefs.
Look at the quarterbacks the Frog have beat this year. Look at the only starting quarterbacks they beat have all been benched. Literally, the only starting quarterbacks they've beaten have been benched.
Weird.
Deshaun Watson got hurt, but like that's still a benching that was incoming. Daniel Jones, and I forget the other one. Like all 3 starters entering the year that they beat have all been benched. Like it's just like no one's afraid of that team. Nobody at all.
I also want to talk about something else. Since the Chiefs did clinch a playoff spot, they're not going to be playing, like clinch the number 1 seed, not just a playoff spot. They're going to be playing in the division round in Kansas City. And you can be there because us at KC Sports Network are doing a divisional round ticket giveaway. You can win 4 tickets and a parking pass to the Chiefs' first home playoff game this year. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's the raffle ticket. How we're gonna give it away: 1 ticket for $10, 3 tickets for $25, 10 tickets for $50. You're nearly getting half off the going rate right there when it comes to 10 tickets. So 10 tickets, $50, 3 tickets, $25, 1 ticket, $10. You can Venmo at KC Sports Network or go to givebutter.com/feeditforward. All of this money that you are donating for these raffle tickets go towards our Feed It Forward program at Hoth Faith homeless assistance campus down in Kansas City. Our Feed It Forward program down there provides meals to the homeless there. So again, that's Venmo, KC Sports Network, givebutter.com/feeditforward. 4 tickets and a parking pass to the Chiefs' first home playoff game, running a giveaway where all proceeds will benefit Hope Faith Kansas City. We do appreciate all of your guys' support in everything that we do, but want to do something extra special for you guys for supporting us. So thank you for supporting us. Enter to win some tickets here to go to the divisional round ticket giveaway. And don't make me break out my math skills again, Maddie, because $50,
Maddie will turn it into a game.
50, 100. If you spend $200, that's still probably less than what you would spend on tickets to go to the game and a parking pass. Like, kind of a bargain, and a playoff game, And you get to help the folks at Hope Faith. They do great work at Hope Faith Ministries. Love helping them out there all year round. So go check that out. You can find that on our socials if you want more information. Or just go to givebutter.com/feeditforward and get a deal while helping people in the process.
I think it's toast game time. What do you guys think?
Real quick, I'm gonna shout out some defensive players. We kind of glossed over it. That we did, and we can, you guys can toast them. I'm just not gonna toast game. Somebody I want to talk about now. I'm gonna save that for later. Trent McDuffie shadowed George Pickens the first half of this game. That was like, that game plan was great. And I know Pickens had the big play, but like, you watch some of it, he was jamming him at the line of scrimmage, right? Like, we think of McDuffie as losing contested catches because he's a little bit smaller, and that does happen from time to time, but he was out physicaling George Pickens at the line of scrimmage. And like, that's part of why I think Pickens walked out that route that led to the interception. McDuffie was just in his hip pocket all game long. Trent McDuffie has been on one the last month of this season. He has been probably the best cornerback. I mean, maybe Patrick Surtain still goes up there, right? But like, he's been one of, if not the best cornerback for the final month of this season, with some of the challenges that he's had to going back into the slot, finally coming up with some interceptions, forcing a fumble in this game. So I thought he was playing great. The safeties were hitting in this game. Like, I just thought defensively across the board, some guys stepped up and played really well, along with the defensive line. I know we talked about the pass rush. I wanted to get some Trent McDuffie love in there because I thought he did great.
I know who your toast game's going to be.
Yes, you do.
I do. I know how. I know. Yeah, I know. We'll let him start. Let's go. Celebrating as always with the KCSN Foundation barrel pick of soft red wheat from Holiday. Tremendous bottle of bourbon I've been enjoying, and excited to be doing another toast game here. That will be the 15th one of the regular season for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Matthew Lane, why don't you start us off? Which I think I know where you're going.
2 thumbs down. You want to get the ball knocked out of your hands after talking shit, after making a catch that doesn't even count? You're going to get somebody celebrating right over you on a dead ball foul, George. Jaden Hicks, he played a lot in this game. He's been playing a lot more lately. And like, there's still some rookie mistakes that come out, but just his energy on the field, you can feel it. He comes up and delivers huge hits. He's playing better on the back end than I think a lot of people would expect from a rookie. He's kind of having like that Brian Cook rookie year where when he's out there, like, he's relatively assignment sound when he's playing deep. He's coming up and making big plays. And I just love that he forces that incompletion after Pickens is getting a little mouthy down multiple scores on running a slant and catching the ball. And like, cool, good play. It didn't count. Quit celebrating and dusting your shoulders off. So I loved it when Hicks sat there right over him, double thumbs down. I don't care what vets or coach are going to talk to him about it. Dead ball penalty at that point. We take that with that kind of energy that was going on.
Jaden Hicks.
Jaden Hicks.
What you got, Tuck?
Look, I know there was a lot made of the stretch here. There's 3 games, 11 days. These guys kind of had to buckle in and they had to strap down, especially after losing the game to the Buffalo Bills. It kind of made this stretch a little bit more important than it maybe wouldn't have if they had beaten the Buffalo Bills earlier on this year. They really strapped down. They got it done. Look, I got to raise a glass to Joe Thuney again, getting it done again. We mentioned it. No sacks allowed once again for the Kansas City Chiefs. Incredible effort from Joe Thuney out there at left tackle. We'll see where the Chiefs take the next direction, but Joe Thuney is just an animal. He's a cyborg, actually. He's a robot. He's just an offensive line robot, and he will do whatever it takes to keep Patrick Mahomes clean. You love to see it. Cheers to Joe Thuney.
I'm going Xavier Worthy.
Ooh.
8 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. 7 straight games that Xavier Worthy has had over 40 yards receiving. He is playing at an exceptional level. The Chiefs have unleashed him. They've unlocked him. He keeps getting better week over week. He's catching the ball a lot more consistently. Some of the catches that he was given were not super easy today, too. That one over the shoulder that he had to make on the crosser, that was a big time catch by him. He almost. I'm telling you what. And if Kim Sutton doesn't tip that pass on the edge to Xavier Worthy, he might have had a walk-in touchdown. Cam Sutton might have saved a touchdown on that little bubble.
On the little bubble.
Yeah, okay. And also Worthy one tripped up ankle from maybe breaking a touchdown too on the hitch route down the sideline too. But man, every week. But hey, look, in between some of those what ifs are a lot more bright moments, and Xavier Worthy had another tremendous performance here on Christmas Day. Thank you all. Quick one. Okay.
Wait. Since the Bills game, since the Chiefs lost the Bills game, the Chiefs have not lost a turnover battle a single time. And in fact, 4 of those games, they have won the turnover battle, including this game, making it 3 in a row. What, they have 2 turnovers in this game? That brings them over the past 3 weeks to 10 forced turnovers, 0 turnovers committed. Toast game to winning the turnover margin.
I do want to add one more point to that, Ken. I'm sorry. I know you want to leave. Fine. It's Christmas. We need to get back to our families, and we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Jared Kohler over at KCV5. To your point, Maddie, last 3 weeks, 10 takeaways. Chiefs defense through 14 weeks prior, 10 takeaways. So they had doubled up in 3 weeks. They're already total.
Big time. Big time. I'm going to close this thing out. Thank you guys all so much for listening, watching, supporting. Very Merry Christmas to all of you. Very appreciative of your support of all of us here. It means a lot that you all listen to us and watch us, and that means a lot. And we just want to say we're especially grateful for you this time of year, and we hope you have an incredible time, a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully you're spending time with people you love, and that's going to do it for the KCSN post-game show. The Chiefs are the 1 seed. Week 18 doesn't matter, and I can't wait. Carson Wentz and Carson Steele next week. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
And Happy Hanukkah.
And Happy New Year.